Wonderful. Well, this is our Ask Me Anything session on the US Climate Tech Trade Mission that is happening in October, a couple of months away. It's really getting close, isn't it? Because August is practically over. Mick, would you like to go through the slide deck, or I can totally share my slide on what this is all about?
Yeah, I think if you want to start and go through that, and then I'll try and chime in as needed, and then we can just get through some of that intro. Everyone's seen most of the content, but it's good to cover it off, and then we can open for Q&A.
Wonderful. Please don't judge me for all of those tabs that I had open. But thank you everyone for making it onto the call today. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land of which we meet, which for me, they're the Gubbi Gubbi people, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. So we're just going to go through an overview of the trade show, some key dates to bear in mind, and some Q&A. So why are we doing this? What's the benefit for the clean tech, climate tech companies? To access the most lucrative market in the world, the USA, which I'm sure if you've got Google alerts for climate tech, you've been seeing news coming up all the time about the abundance of opportunities that are happening there with new legislation. To develop your connections, your partnerships, meet customers and investors, and who knows, maybe in some new team members. Why the US? Well, it's got a lot of big commitments, as I just alluded to. 6 of the world's top investment hubs for clean tech are located within the USA. $80 billion of investment. It seems to be evergreen. Huge, gigantic corporations over there, of which we have partnerships with. The Inflation Reduction Act. And of course, there is a big, colourful, wonderful Verge Climate Tech Conference happening in California. So for us, this speaks to the mission. Our purpose is to help you reach your global potential. So why not help you land and expand in the US? Just a little overview of what this sort of goes through. So, we're in this applicant recruitment process at the moment. So we want to make sure that we have companies that are eligible to go, that you're ready. So, I know if you're super, super keen, but you're just, it's still just, you might be a little bit early. Don't worry, we're going to do this year, and this is our first one, but we'll do this annually, and we'll be most likely going to Asia and Europe as well. So we won't go too much on that. But although there's only a week we spend in the States, there is a lot of work going up to that. So we really want to prepare you for success in market with one-on-one mentoring, coaching, market intelligence workshops, masterclasses to get you prepared. So not just, how to pronounce water or water, or I always get it wrong. Water with a D. Yeah. I just say aqua, and that helps. My strong Australian accent showing through here, but also to go through the tax laws, what you need to do to set up IT, everything like that. And just the nuances involved in getting you prepared for the US investor and customer market. The conference that we are heading to is the Verge Climate Tech Conference. It will be happening 25th to 27th of October in San Jose. But Monday will be happening in San Francisco, and Thursday, Friday there as well. I can send this around afterwards too, because I have hyperlinked everything. So why Verge? So it's part of the Green Biz, a big brand, but it's bringing together a lot of big names, a lot of big speakers, as well as huge businesses. And it's really programmed towards startups and scale-ups and the solutions that you have. So we have secured a group package, which also includes exhibition booth space for you to be part of that. Sorry, I've got some people in the room. I might need to make someone a co-host. Olivia, I'm making you co-host so you can let the people who are in the waiting room in. It's beyond me. I know it's climate tech, but the tech part I always struggle with when I'm sharing a screen on Zoom. So Verge is just a really great opportunity. It'll be huge. There is a full program of breakfast through to dinner, through to, one night. There's an event that goes till midnight, which is, parent 5 a.m. I probably won't make it that far. Oh, we went ahead. Anyway, Oh, I feel like... Okay, some key dates. Great. I'm so glad that I'm sharing screen and I have totally gone through this wonderful presentation way too fast. Let me see if I can go back. So Verge. Yes, here's Verge. It'll be a great program, but of course we know conferences can get huge and busy, and it's really about you displaying to many. We really want to make sure that outside of those exhibition spaces and opportunities, we're connecting you with commercially relevant people. Here is just some of the mentors that we'll be leveraging, their connections and advice and help to get you market ready for the US. And I thought I'd just do a little snapshot of media, but as soon as I put this up there, it's like already a couple of weeks out of date. But it is evergreen climate tech. There is more and more opportunity happening in this space, particularly with all the legislation that's coming through with the US. This is a draft program for you. And as mentioned before, although we're only spending a week in the US, there is a lot of preparation that leads up to that to ensure you have success in market. It's like, any big game day, you don't just rock up without ever training. So we will be kicking off and I've been told by Mick and other people who spend a lot of time in San Francisco that you don't say San Francisco, the cool kids say SF. So bear that in mind when you're over there.
No, you just don't say San Fran. I think
San
that's
Fran.
The New Yorkers say San Fran. I'm probably overplaying it, but few people said it to me. It's like SF is just how they normally would.
Right. Do then San Jose, is that SJ?
Yeah, I never really heard that much, but probably it's the whole Bay Area, South Bay, anything sort of south of anything really south of the city is South Bay, and then East Bay is Oakland, which is really quite different, and there's actually North Bay, which is the other side of the bridge. But anyway, you work it out. They all love Aussies and Aussie accents, so you should be okay.
Okay. And even if your accent is sort of like quasi-American at times, Pat, I noticed that with your accent on the call before, just layer on the Australian part thick. So we will be having and this is close to Silicon Valley, the tech hub of the world. But we all know Australia is going to be the climate tech hub of the world because of your amazing community spirit. We'll have a welcome kickoff dinner gathering on Sunday. Monday, you can see by the program there, I don't have to go through all that, but we have confirmed that Austrade will be doing an investor hosted gathering with us in that evening to get you started and getting all the people around SF and the Bay Area together. And then kicking on over to San Jose for the conference, which is, have your running shoes on because it's over 3 days, your comfortable, sustainable sneakers. And there'll be a lot of work going throughout that. And we just want to make sure that, either side of that, you're not just, standing in an exhibition booth. We're going to have rotation around that. So you're not required to be at the exhibition booth the whole time. Your opportunity there is to network, to engage, to make contacts with commercially relevant people. I can't drill that in enough. So a little bit about the eligibility criteria. Obviously if you're, pre-MVP, it may be just a bit too early for you, but this is just a few of the criteria that Investment New South Wales has put up there, which is similar to Austrade's landing pad program as well. And for those who've just joined, don't worry, we are recording this and I'll share it out with you afterwards. And I can also share this very overproduced, immaculate deck with you as well. What's included? The conference tickets, the exhibition booth space, an in-market program of activity, of course. So we want to make sure that, pretty much every minute of the day while you're over there, you will be making the most of it. Engage. So no sleep-ins, no going to bed early. Mentoring support, of course. We have some fantastic mentors that really do specialize in landing and expanding in the US. Workshops, market intelligence briefings to ensure you're market ready, and they will be kicking off from September 19, pretty much through to Europe, touching down on the ground in the States. Introductions, connections, and business matchmaking. We want to ensure that you're successful there. We're not just, taking you over for a woo woo, holiday in the US. It's about ensuring business success. What's not included is travel expenses, food, travel, and accommodation. Although we are trying, a lot of those hosted events that are part of those schedules will have food, drinks, some available, but you will be required to cover your own expenses. However, we are looking for partners to help cover that. And there are grants available from different states. Unfortunately, the New South Wales grants have just closed, sort of didn't time up very well with this, but there are grants available from SA, Queensland, that I know of, and I'm sure the other states as well. Some key dates. If you're from New South Wales and you haven't applied, get to it because it closes tomorrow. But this is not a New South Wales exclusive trip, and Mick will go into that as well. We are working with Investment New South Wales, but Climate Salad is state agnostic. I'm from Queensland, or I'm living in Queensland. So we all states are welcome to come and join us wherever you're based. And we will include Austrade program of briefings and market intelligence workshops to make sure that you are prepared and ready for success while in the States. Obviously, October 23 to 28, make sure you're available for that. You are so welcome to come earlier or later. We know of some contact founders that are landing in country earlier. There's Mind the Bridge. There is an event on the week before we're there. You're welcome to be part of that. I'll send you details. And it would be great if you can make it to those market intelligence workshops and classes, because that helps you. It's not work for the sake of work. It's really to help you prepare for success. So make sure that you have the capacity to carve out time. They're not onerous. There'll be hour workshops online, as well as one-on-one mentoring at the convenience of you and the mentor. So that is the program in a nutshell, in a Google slide deck. Here to answer your questions. Oh.
Raise your hand, jump in.
Hi, it's Murray from What Watches. Thanks, Charlotte, and hi, Mick and Olivia. I came in mainly to try and understand how this related to the New South Wales going global thing, which I just nearly finished applying for. So it was really just to get the sense of how they interacted and whether we need to apply for anything additional if we're applying for the New South Wales one. Yeah.
Should I pause recording for your answer, Mick? Or
No, I think it's completely fine. Like obviously that we want to do the international missions, and they're the first state or group that's come on board to support us on it. We'll make the most of that as we can, but we certainly want to leverage all of our efforts around helping any company who's trying to grow internationally. So for us, making sure we're really aware that you want to go is really good. So being on this call and just being yes, applying there will definitely have you on our list. They still, as a part of the due diligence and the process, they have to select you. So you might be a great company doing all the right things, but they may not select you, and that's not up to us. We have to stay separate from that. But you can still obviously go, and we can still support you. We've been really clear with them about that as that basis. So it's just keep communicating to us. My view is the New South Wales support, us running this trip, isn't going to make or break any company. You're growing your company, running it. It needs to do. I wouldn't spend your last dollar on this trip. It's unlikely to get immediate customers or raise 10 million in a week. But if as a part of your plan, you are looking to grow into that market and you want to start understanding it more, talking to talent, talking to customers, talking to investors, there's a critical mass of companies and effort going into this. And New South Wales is supporting additional resources going to that. We'll put as much love and support from the rest of the Climate Salad team around as we can. And again, in respect and appreciation of the New South Wales grant, we will also push hard to help those companies that make it through that program. We're speaking to every state. Every state has people over in the US. They're all going to help as much as they can. And part of our goal is to have such an incredible impact on the companies positively that they go and get customers and meet some investors, that next year we can do trade missions to each big market and do them bigger, better. So I've done probably 30 trade missions to the US, Europe, and Asia. Oh gosh, more than that. 30 to the US, probably more 50, 60 to the globally, and taking companies. And it's a lot about the preparation. It's a lot about being in line with your companies. It doesn't work every time, but it's a great experience. I think Australian companies being globally ambitious is a big part of the positive outcome. So yeah, I would definitely apply that grade. That really helps us just to show that people are supportive, because we sometimes don't see all the hard work you're doing, and we're working with you every day. The government groups definitely don't see that. It's sometimes these applications which shows, oh wow, wow, Murray from what watches wants to go to the US. Like they may, that's their touch point. So
I don't think they'll let me go. But
yes, you are blacklisted. But yeah, so apply, ping us, and let's just keep conversation. We'll keep doing whatever we can to help.
Okay, thank you.
Hi guys, Cara from Your Food Collective. Thank you, Team Climate Salad. I came a bit late, so you may have addressed this, but can you just talk to me a little bit more about the criteria around being export ready and export capable? Like just a little bit more sort of definition around the expectations for that.
Charlotte, I don't know if you have any more detail on it. My view is they're just trying to avoid either companies that are at a concept stage or are so early that it's very hard to imagine that you can go and actually get customers, or that you've been doing it for 20 years already and just trying to jump on for a free ride. So they want to kind of have enough information about that timing, and part of that's your pitch to them to be, well, we've got a great base here in Australia, we've already had conversations, and our product can be exported. So so part of it is being like just making sure that they go on with that and understand that. I think in my experience in doing it, there is it's fairly understandable. Like they basically, it's fairly clear, and most companies would be eligible, but sometimes for whatever reason their internal machinery says no, and so I've always found that sort of 80% of them are absolutely make sense. Some of them are early anyway, or some of them are too late. Some of them don't even want to go. So there's always a bit of a mix, because again, that's not their day-to-day business selecting these companies, but they've got to follow a process. So there's some of the key elements from my side.
Okay, thanks. Makes sense.
Cara, I've also just pasted very messily, without the dot points, the eligibility criteria for the trip, but also that application portal goes through that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Jeremy, did you have a...
Hey guys, how are you going? Good to see everyone. Thanks so much for the information session. I also came in a little bit late just with meetings, but my question is just more around timelines and logistics, just recognizing flight costs, accommodation costs, all these things, and when are we likely to get a green light to go, yep, we've been accepted to join? When can we book tickets? All these things are important. I'm just watching. I'm watching the trip, and like I use Hopper, and it gives you like little notifications, and every day like pings me and goes, oh, your flight is projected to go up by another $25 or whatever it is, right? So I'm just keen to book as soon as I can. That's all. So
Charlotte can talk to the New South Wales process. My view is if you want to go, regardless of being selected by New South Wales, then we're going. That's been approved. We're going to Verge. We're going to run a program where we've got a draft. We're going to try to achieve as much as that as possible. But as you know, a lot of the value is actually in the individual work of your company anyway. So if you want to go and want to book your flights and accommodation now, and again, my view would be you want to do that because you want to invest in this yourself and your company at the right time, and you have the capacity to do that, then you can go book that now. And I would consider the New South Wales program to be a bonus. So, and again, a lot of companies outside of New South Wales anyway, and that doesn't apply. We are going. Charlotte, Olivia and I have booked flights, and I totally recognise that. That's the same. It's not cheap. It's not easy. San Francisco is a fairly expensive city. We're sharing some Airbnbs because that's some easier to do in some places. But the reason why the reason to do the flights is just logistics, like managing your own things. It's like some people want to stay 5 stars, some people want to stay backpackers, some people happy to travel each day, some people might want to work down near the Tesla factory or whatever. So there's a lot of flexibility with that. But again, if you want to go book and we go, at least we could come to the Verge conference and our events. And if you're flying to New South Wales, Charlotte can tell us when that's going to be announced. But that again, as quickly as possible. But Charlotte, what's the current date on that now?
I have just put it in the chat. There will be a selection panel process on September 5, but the cohort is finalised on September 16. So that is late, and totally, Jeremy, we were doing the same thing. We're like, oh, when do we book flights? You will be supported. We have Austrade training platform and program for making you market ready that we will, release to everyone who's coming on the trip. So, yeah, as Mick said, if you're ready and all of those things, and you're based in New South Wales and you go through the program in New South Wales, fantastic, but you'll also be supported no matter what.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's great. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Or if you can book flexi flights, I don't know.
We'll have a look. The other thing, from a location perspective, like, should we all sort of agree to sort of try and stay in a similar area? Mindful of getting around and saving costs with Ubers and things and travel and whatnot, and dinners and lunches and breakfasts and stuff. What's the advice on that?
Yes, certainly that we want to bring everyone together as a cohort that's coming along. So some people may be able to travel together, share some costs together. That really makes sense. We are trying to talk to hotels about deals and things. That's, again, we are going pretty quick at the fairly late notice. So I don't expect to produce miracles there, but we'll do whatever we can and just share it back to everybody through Slack and that group. So that we'll do that as much as we can.
Cool.
Location wise, we will probably do some work in the city on the Sunday and the Monday night. That's currently we're penciled in for Austrade right down Market Street for Monday night, and something fairly casual on the Sunday night before that. Just basically a welcome to town, have a drink, have a meal, and then it's San Jose for basically Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so we've got a significantly more cost-effective Airbnb in San Jose for the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, and then Friday night we've got an event which we'll finalise. We typically used to do the last event in Palo Alto. But we may do it in the city. So most of it's fairly accessible by Caltrain. It can be expensive by Ubers, but I would we'll try to get as many of these people who are really keen to come along as possible into the same group, and we can start contacting people from sharing with people from the same state, etc. So
Cool.
Again, don't expect to have miracles this first trip. We're going to try to do as much as we can, but as much sharing from everyone how we do that, the better.
Cool. Just in the Slack as well. I mean, I'm personally very happy to share if we can get Airbnb with 3 bedrooms or something, and get 2 or 3 of those. Cool. So just hit me up. Yep, we'll talk more.
Great. Jeremy's now organising accommodation for everybody. Thanks, Jeremy. Just kidding.
And James, you had your hand up for a while there. Did you have a question?
Yep, that's it. So James from Switched In. Look, I'm trying to, as I go through this, put all the pieces together of who the players are, because we've been involved in this from a few different angles. One is that we're actually participating in Verge, and that was recommended to us on the back of being part of their derivative. So we already know we're going to Verge. We're like, we've got that's locked in for us. And I know we've had a bit to do recently with Climate Salad. I think we helped sponsor one of the recent reports. And I know there was an event here in Newcastle where we're based with Mick and our CEO not that long ago. But I just wanted to get this particular piece is specifically around this, and I missed the beginning too, like many others it seems, but is around Climate Salad supporting this New South Wales Department of Industry trade mission to the US, right? Am I getting all those pieces together correctly?
Yeah, it's the confusion is that we are Australia based and New South Wales government, obviously New South Wales based. This has been a challenge for the last 15 years about state and federal and all those programs. well, we're going to the US. We're helping as many of our companies as possible to come along, and we're doing that around Verge, and we've done that partly because New South Wales wanted to support that, because that actually help that significantly facilitates it. Some companies are going to go early, some will come late, some will not even come. They'll come 3 months later, but we're going to go to Verge, help as many companies as possible, and the New South Wales companies that get selected by New South Wales government qualify for some additional support, which again, I would think switching are probably past that, but again, based on third derivative and others.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you're supporting this mission alongside, so the New South Wales government would be doing this regardless, and you're supporting the Climate Salad affiliated companies who are interested in doing this and then going over there, whether they're successful or not in getting into the government program, right?
Yes. So we're doing both. So we're supporting all companies, and there's a substream for New South Wales companies where we are able through that funding to apply additional resources. But
So New South Wales Investment New South Wales, they do the the fintech going global or health tech going global, but we're delivering their services end to end for climate tech. So we are sort of Investment New South Wales for them. So all the support that they coordinate, we'll be coordinating for this.
Okay, great.
By taking other companies as well.
Good. Thanks. The other question I had is just around if and when there will be a list available of some of the companies that are in the agenda throughout the week of the trade mission. So who's going to be in on some of those meetings, or who will we have the opportunity to meet?
Yeah, working pretty furiously on that. Again,
and sorry if I missed it too.
No, we obviously don't know all the companies that are coming with us. We've had good support from Austrade and some of the corporates we work with here supporting us there. And I've got a network over there that we're trying to activate. The other thing is that we have, I think Verge is going to be the galactic central point for climate tech globally for those 3 days. So you're already going to Verge. As you know, with trade conferences, right, you don't sit there and everyone walks up to you with checks. You've got to go out and beat the grass and make the most of it. But I think that content is going to be great. That networking is going to be great. And we've got, again, some expo space so you can meet some customers. We've got some opportunities to participate in some various parts. Like we've sort of put Climate Salad as a bigger part of that bucket to elevate all the other companies in our network. But partly because that Verge is so, if we were going and there was no conference, or the conference was half a day, then we'd probably work harder to create other content points out throughout the week. But you need some time for your own meetings if you're only going there for the week. So I'm hesitant to put too much on the agenda, because I also don't want to have people Monday 9 o'clock and you've got 40 hours of content for the week. So so we'll have a fair bit of flexibility built in, but we're trying to put together enough base content around it as possible. The other thing we'll say is, I'd say 80% of our effort is going to go into individual support. So who is the investor or customer, or the employee or the advisor who's exactly right for your company? So I'd say that 20% of the value you get out of it's going to be the group value, and 80% is the specific things for your company. And we want to activate our mentors and
Mick has frozen. Or did I just freeze? But you were fine.
No, I think I froze.
Okay. Right at the climactic part of your conversation there too. I'm so sorry we missed that.
Yeah.
But Pat and Clinton, you have your hands up, so I'll go to Pat and then.
Okay.
Pat,
you're muted.
You're muted.
You're unmuted and muted.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, well, what you got, Charlotte, was the Irish Australian accent. So it's mid-Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian, or whatever. So that's that's why. But my question is a couple things. One is, for Verge, could my partner in the States be part of that for follow-on? you know, would that be able to be done, Mick?
At the moment, the Verge agreement we have is one person per company.
Oh, okay.
So if you're my guess is they've got some pretty big accelerators bringing lots of people there. My guess is that if we ask, we'd probably get an okay. So ask and say, hey, we've got someone coming, because we're not bringing 300 people, right? So if we get 60, that's going to be a great turnout. So I think it's going to be fine, Pat, but I can't promise it. But just put a note to Charlotte. We'll ask when we get the details back from them. We'll ask, and then we'll fingers crossed. But I think we've got a good shot at getting some extra people in.
Okay. Second question was, I applied to the New South Wales government thing, and it just came up at the end saying, we'll be back to you in 3 or 4 or 5 business days, and nothing. So is that, you know, do I accept that as confirmation the application has gone through, or what? Do you follow?
Yeah, I mean, we can always check with them, Pat, to make sure that they, you know, that your application has gone through. But if you've received a receipt that says we've confirmation of, your application.
Well, that's how the application finished, saying we'll be back to you in 3 or 4 days. Okay.
Jeremy says he got a confirmation email. I think one of us did the test of this. So again, we don't control that, but we can ask. What's the company name there again, Pat?
Indigo, INDECO.
Yeah. Yep, you're on the list.
Oh, okay. That's great. Last thing, our beachhead industry is food security and the food and beverage side. Is there an emphasis on that? I saw there was one of the streams was food. Is there an emphasis on?
I think it's definitely one of the key themes, and there are both mentors here and groups over there which are focused on that. I think it's food security.
Okay.
Different, totally. Certainly based on heat waves and droughts in California at this point. So they can point out their door to show the problems. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Thank you very much for that.
Clinton.
Hi, look, I just wanted to give you guys, Olivia, Charlotte, Mick, a big thank you for everything you do, not just with this project, but like doing these events, doing these. I know, giving away an hour of your time, like a few times a week, is huge. So I think I can probably talk for all the companies on the call. This is so appreciated. I'm really looking forward to being part of this for a lot longer and giving back as we go along in our journey here. The question I had was around how you see the booth running and how much sort of space and how Climate Solid want to display that. Have you had any thoughts yet, or is it a little bit early?
We've got a bit more work to do around exactly nailing that down. The way we look at it is they've given us 2 booth space over the whole expo, and we want to divide it up based on use. If Fully's the only company that wants to use it, it's the Fully stand, and we're all in your t-shirts, singing, dancing, and doing the Fully cheer. If everybody wants to share it, then we'll put a schedule together that hopefully maximizes around everyone's time. It's going to be a little messy. Like every single thing with this and every single part of being a startup, right? You get out what you put in. If you want to do it, I would say that don't go crazy and make banners and get things done. Number one, it's terrible for the environment. But number two, a lot of it's standing there. I will say that it's dumb as it sounds, wearing sustainably made t-shirts with your brand on it and having a mechanism for people to have a call to action with you can be really helpful. People are there to buy, but there's because they're curious and and there would be people there to buy. But you've got mostly curious people walking around. It's going to be a bit of the Easter show for climate in the US, right? So, but part of it, again, we've got to narrow down who's coming, who's really interested in putting some space up and is capable, and then we'll manage it through there. So a bit flexible, but we'll definitely be tying it down over the next 2 weeks.
Okay, excellent. There'll probably be, in terms of like screen space, there won't be a TV or anything available. It'll probably just be like laptops or something to demonstrate what people do. Is that? Yeah,
I think there's just, other than lots and lots of other people doing this, that the possibility of getting a display that everyone can plug into, like maybe having 2 displays. Yes. That's a great point. We might be able to get one that everyone can share rather than everyone carrying one down. So we'll make a note of that on our side and see. We can probably either borrow or rent one. So, but that's a good point.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe before we head over there, we could all give you a promo video or something, and you could stitch it together with the Climate Salad to promote your brand and involvement with that too. If that worked, we'd be super happy to help.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. And the other really good thing that by far the best thing that no one expects happens over there is the connection of the cohort. So we did it at the end of our first program at Murudi, and a team that a cohort which was kind of positive turned into a cohort which were like, you know, blood relatives, right? They just, because you're on the road together, you're, you know, having a terribly strong San Francisco pour or whatever they drink, like Chardonnay. It's far too much Chardonnay, and by the end of the week, you know, you're a lot more bonded. And so the support of that pre, during, and post of each other in terms of, hey, you know, you should go speak to Clint and he's got his own technology, blah, blah, blah. Like, so that is actually really, really strong. So having some tools to be able to facilitate that is really valuable as well. So yeah, it's
excellent. And then the other question I had was a little bit about after the event, you said there might be, leave a little bit of space. Did you have kind of, I know I don't want to lock you into anything, but kind of like a vision of a few things that could happen, like after that, or how long are you kind of going to be there after, or yeah?
I, through bad planning and timing, am going to be coming back on the Saturday night because of I'm being overseas the week before Verge, so I won't be staying longer. But nearly every single time, there's a bunch of companies that get lots of good offers and extend their trips. So this is not good for Jeremy trying to book his flight with the flexibility. But allowing some more time for that, knowing 2 things. One is, even if you stay another week, it's not going to be enough time to close a big deal, but there is still nothing that replaces the face-to-face meeting and the opportunity. And you know, we've gone from a junior analyst at an event seeing us to seeing the senior analyst on a Friday afternoon where we're supposed to be flying out that night, and then the next Monday morning we're pitching to the entire investor panel to Draper Fisher Jerviston, right? And it's like, it is a different world. It is Disneyland for startups, and it's a bit crazy, but it's totally what you can do is allow a great opportunity to allow a week, like even allowing just the Friday is not really enough time. Fridays are really fairly quiet. Everyone just gets their work done, and people are often not at the city and things. Allowing another whole week allows you plenty of time for follow-up meetings. Like I typically allow at least half of in the last whole week for follow-up meetings, just the flexibility. But the other thing is just to come back later, right? You've been over there. It's completely okay to be like, great, let's chat via Zoom for the next few weeks. I'll be back in late November, or you know. So it depends again how close you are on deals. If the deals are exploratory is fine remote. If the deals are like, hey, I want to sign up a pilot or get a term sheet to you, then being there makes a big difference. So it's a bit custom, and I think we can talk about that. But it's the other reason I would say is, if you go over there and do no preparation and you just land there, you'll still have a great trip. You'll have some amazing connections and lots to follow up on. But if you, there's times when I've lined up like 40 meetings prior to going over there, and then that just makes the most of your week. And then you've got a really good view then to be like, at least 10 of them are going to be follow-up. So let's me book another week. But again, everyone's got their total lives to manage. And bank balances. So yeah.
Well, so thanks so much. Amazing work again. So really appreciate it.
No, look, thanks for the appreciation too. Again, it's great to get a couple of good positive feedback from all the companies this week. Like we feel we're doing good things in the right direction. We know we've got a lot of work to do still, but every little bit of positive feedback to us puts us fuel in our tank, because it is, like, I can tell you how hard Olivia and Charlotte work to get these things off the ground. And the other thing is the stakeholders, like New South Wales government, kind of look at us and think maybe we're doing a good job, but Austrade, every state government is looking at us going, can you actually help these companies? And we're trying, but any positive feedback to them helps as well. So thanks.
Thank you. On that, do you know if is it Global Vic or Going Global, the Victorian branch of that? Have you had any interactions with them? Or
I spoke to Christos actually from Global Vic yesterday. They have 6 month rolling budget, so they can't actually support us with financial resources on this one, but they do have some programs and people over there, and they're going to try to get us some extra. But partly as well, one of the reasons why we want to be national is to be able to say, you know, hey, even Clinton was able to go over there and have a good trip, you know. So yeah, look, we want to make everyone a success for the purpose of the success, but every time we do that, it helps another entrepreneur see that path. It helps government and corporates realize there's a path that we're going down. So it just helps tell the story and you know, again, building that for the next entrepreneurs coming through. So we have spoken to a few. We're definitely speaking to LaunchVic as well. Victoria, whilst we're getting some support from Investment New South Wales here, Victoria's got a lot of groups. And if there's people you know who could support it, we're doing it. And if they'd like to get behind it, then that's just more resources we can put to you. Like, yeah, so let us know.
no worries, I'll see what I can do. And thanks, Nick. Cheers.
Thanks, Sam.
Fionnuala?
Hello. Yeah, I just thought I'd jump in. I think I'm maybe a hair too early, but I thought I'll just check out the criteria. And also, I looked at the different streams, and I wasn't sure if Kelpie fits in there. It seems quite digital tech, or would that be correct? Or because mine's more of a biotech product solution, is that a good fit for what Verge is, the intent of Verge?
I think it's quite broad. I think Silicon Valley is, you know, it actually used to be a lot of hardware, silicon, right? But it went very, very software for the last 20, 30 years in SaaS. So there is definitely an element of that underlying it, but absolutely this Climate Verge is about busting beyond that. You know, there's energy transport, food, carbon, buildings. So there's a lot of tangible products there, and I know a lot of the companies coming, the investment firms are hardware only. So and deep science, energy and infrastructure. I think there is all the breadth there, absolutely. And in fact, the one thing that we'll talk about again pre-program is specialization. Typically goes up another notch or two in the US, because you can't be generalist, it's just too big. So the more specific specialist you are, it's typically easier to get people to participate with you. So
yeah, so I went into that Amazon Grand Challenge last week, and that was Austrade that facilitated that cohort, and that's what I saw. Amazon and Unilever and players like that are obviously attending Verge, but I just wasn't sure if they'd be relevant to, you know, I'm speaking with people that are very much in the biotech or the packaging space from those units, but I guess I just do, yeah, separate meetings, targeted meetings to get to those people.
Yeah, I get really torn on this, because I know the Australian market is it's a good market, it's a decent size for a reasonable business, and there are positive customers buying things. But I know it's also small and slow and hard to fund. So and it's easier in software, but it's harder but more worthwhile even in hardware. So I'm really torn on it. I definitely think every opportunity for an Australian company to have a global ambition absolutely helps, even if they decide, like I've probably taken 600, 700 companies globally through programs over the last 10, 12 years, gosh, 14 years. And I would say that only only 30% at best end up being global straight away. But actually looking global is really, really important and valuable, but it's also a big investment. So I've already said to 2 companies that the timing I think is too early, because either they've got limited runway and they need to go further with it, and it's a big expense. Like it's very difficult to do this cheaply. You can eat cheaply and you can live fairly cheaply over there, but flying over there is expensive, and it's even staying cheaply is not that easy. So so talk to us about the timing of your company again, and part of it's about the preparatory work to line up those meetings. If you feel you've got 3 game-changing meetings you can have, and they're only can have them face-to-face, it could be worthwhile. But you could have 40 meetings and still come back and go, eh. So it's a tough call. But so happy to follow up. And people like John Wood and Casey Whitelaw. There's a few of mentors who've taken a number of companies international. They'll be able to tell you that, you know, that it's maybe great timing or not. But you know, take a few points of input, and then we can see.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Charlotte has turned into a logo for a second. So any other final questions or thoughts, or we can give some time back to everybody. Please feel free to ping us directly and ask any questions, reach out to each other. And there's a number of companies that have been over there recently, including Clinton and the team. Ripe Robotics were over there recently for AWS in Las Vegas. Cecil were over there recently. You know, it's similar to James with Switched In. There's been a number of other companies, Sakona Batteries. There's been probably 20 or 30 companies in Climate Salad which have been to the market recently, and some support, like reaching out to them, like that's part of being in the community. So, and if you don't get a response, ping us. That's our job to do that connection. So let us know.
Sorry, I had to chase a bush turkey out of my house. How Australian is that? So thank you so much for your time. To Mick's point, are there any sort of final questions? And also, this is a great time to, Mick's got a great blog post on tips and tricks for, you know, work travel in SF, the Bay, Silicon Valley, if I've got that right. So, you know, if you want to pick his brain for the next few minutes or 2 minutes, or ping him on Slack.
Can you speak a little bit about it, just off the cuff, what you think's valuable?
Yeah, so I mean, we covered a lot of it in terms of the preparation in advance and allowing backup time. But one of the key things absolutely is there's an instant massive delineation made about where your business is at, and the US model is get to the point. So you will meet people who are like completely and utterly affront your tall poppy, you're a tosser view of the world, and I say embrace a little bit of your inner tosser, because at Verge you'll have 500 opportunities to say, you know, hey, so what do you do? Sorry, to answer the question, what do you do? And the thing I encourage, even though I'm not particularly good at it, is a one sentence which makes people then ask a strong follow-on sentence. So you can explore on that one. The one thing Australians do regularly is use vague terms like, hey, I'm Clinton from Fully, and we're going to do a pretty good battery that's, you know, that's better. It's like, you know, you want like, did you know that 45 million batteries are going to be replaced over the next 14 months and we're going to do all of them? It's like, holy shit. You know, you will meet people who say, hey, I'm Mick and I've had 4 exits. You're like, so you got to compete a little bit that for attention span. So I would test that little elevator pitch and fight against my big urge to fill in the silence afterwards. So we'll share the list around. There's a few things. One big thing which I was speaking to Olivia about yesterday, I think, was the San Francisco has large homelessness problem challenges and issues, and there's long history to it, which I'm going to later. But that can be pretty confronting, and be really aware that there are areas like the Tenderloin which are pretty unsafe at any time of day. I've walked through there many times, never had an issue, and you can get, someone can give you crap anywhere, but it's a big city, so just be prepared. And I think it's got worse over the last few years. So the contradiction in San Francisco of the billionaires and the homelessness is really quite confronting as an Aussie. So there are some things just to be prepared for. Yeah, I'll share that other part of the list. The other big one that has changed a lot in the last 15 years is it used to be that you had to say we are moving to the US and your whole company's coming, all your engineers and everybody. And then it got to at least the founders are coming over, or there's gonna be some team here. Depending on your company, your whole team could be spread around the whole world nowadays. So that's pretty spread. But they think about every way you answer your question, which adds risk to it. This is why saying vague terms. So your startup is already highly risky because it's a startup. And if you add vague terms like, yeah, and we're a better solution, like better is vague. 20% better is vague. Like, it's like, what's 20%? Like they want to know that you're an absolute possible unicorn, like multi-billion-dollar company. And there's something special about you. What's that thing about you? The other thing is, well, Aussies will often leave their best thing to last, and you've got to say it up front. So if you've got Exxon as a customer, like, hey, I'm Clinton, we have a battery technology, we've got Exxon as a customer. Like, wow, that's all I need to know, right? That's just told me that I don't even know what your battery does. I don't know if it's profitable, doesn't even matter, but you've got Exxon as a customer. That's the best thing about you. You're much more likely to get a meeting. So anyway, we'll share some more of that content and go from there. But happy to really exciting team. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Again, we're going to go every year to 3 different markets. So please don't feel like you're missing out. If it's not the right timing, don't force it. But it'd be great to have as many of you along. Excited to take it to some big markets and get some customers.
Thanks so much. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for your time today. Just ping us on Slack or email and we'll help you out. Really looking forward to it as well. See you soon.
Cheers, Dane.
Thanks.
Thanks.